Oh, beautiful people. I am joined today with a good buddy of mine. But before we get into that, got to give a shout out to Quick Trip sponsoring the show. And according to their social media today, I saw that they have white bread on sale, 79 cents. There's a limit of 5 because they don't want people going crazy because
Oh,
that's
no.
what would happen. They would get looted if it was any cheaper. That is a great deal. And Quick Trip bread is so soft. I enjoy Quick Trip bread. Throw some peanut butter on it, whatever you throw on that thing in your house. Anyways, I'm getting pretty good at these.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
I mean, I might drive to Quick Trip after this just to get some 79-cent bread.
Yeah. I mean, people need bread. You're at
I was
work,
gonna get
wife.
6, but I guess
Yeah.
I'll settle with
Yeah.
5.
Just take 2 visits.
We do have, like, I don't know how many Quick Trips in Green Bay, so
Yeah,
I
you
think we
could
could hit
just
all of them.
yeah, you could like stock up a whole restaurant just going quick trip to quick trip. But what is up, Ben? How you doing? How you been?
Man, I've been doing good. Just got back from Phoenix, Arizona, not long ago, so kinda just settling back in. How's everything going over on your end?
Oh, it is fantastic. But no one cares. But how come you're in Arizona? Like were you on vacation? You're having a good time or is it a work thing?
No, it was, I think more or less just kinda get out of, Wisconsin winter. We picked that week thinking the weather would be good, and it rained, and it was, like, 50s the entire time, so the weather wasn't great, but it was a good trip all in all. I mean, I was concerned as the stretch of the games went. I was like, "Oh, man, I might end up being on the plane during the playoff game, or might have to, like, find a bar or something to watch the game while I was in Phoenix. But Packers did what Packers did, and it was not a concern, uh,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
unfortunately. Yeah, the way yeah. Cuz everyone like knows everyone like kind of lost faith and they had the Vikings game. They're like, "Oh, okay." Like I was all in like they're going to beat the Lions, dance on in the playoffs, see what happens. But then, you know,
Yeah,
Packer fans are used to kind of happened.
yeah, life happens. I mean, yes, is it disappointing to not make a postseason? Absolutely, but I also feel like the team just wasn't where they needed to be to actually make a really good run in the postseason. When you're seeing the teams that you are seeing, it didn't seem like we really competed with. I mean, a lot of games just felt really hard this season,
Yeah.
against good teams, bad teams, except for what, Minnesota? Was that the only game this season that actually felt like it wasn't an uphill fight the entire time? I
Yeah, it
mean,
was
we
just
we beat Dallas as well, but that was kind of a back and forth the entire game.
yeah, I think that the Packers like people always say like they didn't have an identity and I never know what that means. And that like this season happened. I'm like, I kind of get it now, I think.
Yeah.
But like cuz they didn't like they would run it and then they wouldn't run it. People were like, you gotta run the ball more, and then they'd run it. And like it was like they were like kind of all over the place. Like
Mhm.
most teams, you kind of have an idea of what they're gonna do, like what they're good at, who they're gonna throw to, how they're gonna run the ball. The Packers like every week was like, we'll just figure it out on Thursday.
That's how it feels, man. That's how it feels.
But it is what it is. But you know, what I wanted to ask you, what everyone's asking me, what everyone is talking about is Aaron Rodgers. First of all, do you think that he'll retire?
No, I don't think he'll retire. You don't I don't imagine that you retire off of a year like that. You have back-to-back MVP seasons, and then you have a year where you have a broken thumb and you're kind of dealing with some adversity in the receivers, new receivers, and trying to piece this together. I don't think you want your legacy to end off of a season like that. Not that it was a terrible season, but I think people would remember it poorly. What about you? Do you think a retirement's in his future this off season?
Not at all. And
Yeah.
at first I was kind of like thinking like there's a good chance to retire. I do feel like Aaron Rodgers is confident and like if he's done, like he can go on and do whatever. He's got all the money in the world. He can pick whatever he wants to do and have a good time with it. But, like, after listening on McAfee a little bit, different interviews, kinda, like, seems like he's talking about past that point, so it feels like he might not know it yet, but, like, his brain already knows it, that he's coming back. I don't think he's gonna get traded. I don't think, I think for a lot of reasons, but definitely at the Jets. Like, for a guy, Aaron Rodgers, right?
Hmm.
His whole career, basically, from the very beginning, he was compared to Brett Favre. Like, all
Hmm.
the time. I mean, now he, like, obviously, he's won 4 MVPs, he's doing alright. He's not always being compared, but it's still kinda there. If he got traded to the Jets, they would mention him and Brett Favre together every single day on SportsCenter throughout the whole season. They just like Brett Favre, he got traded to the Jets, and I don't know that he would wanna be I don't know that I wouldn't want that storyline if I was him.
Well, let me ask you this: if he gets traded to any team, is the storyline going to be any different?
But I think, he would hear I don't know. I think it'd be
Eh,
all the time. If it was a
I
Jets,
mean,
especially leading up that whole when it happened to, like, the season started, it would just be so much. This is Brett Favre all over again, like Illuminati or whatever they call it. The
I think I don't think the Jets thing. I mean, I think Rodgers is going to be tied to the whole Brett Favre thing forever, right? No matter what
Yeah.
happens, it's always going to be brought up. Uh, Rodgers, like most good quarterbacks, has an ego, which isn't a bad thing by any means for a quarterback. I do think he would get enjoyment in going to New York and potentially winning a championship with them, because then it's like I did something that Brett didn't do in that regard. Where I mean, especially early on when Rodgers was starting with the Packers, Favre was throwing a lot of like daggers at him, like, "Oh, I honestly thought he would have won a Super Bowl sooner," and saying all these remarks. Where I think if he went to New York, I mean, he's probably going to have a lot more business opportunities. It's a big city. They have a good defense. They have a young defense. They have some weapons on the offense. I think it gives them a decent chance at winning a ring, which I think is more what he wants rather than what team he would be potentially be traded to, because there's not a lot of options that would make sense. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's
I
gonna happen. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he got traded. I will tell you that much.
I wouldn't be shocked, like, and for real, I wouldn't even be mad. Like, people always, I'm the Aaron Rodgers, like, defender, and I do love Aaron Rodgers, though. Uh, I defend him, I know, whatever. But, if they decide, "Hey, we're trading you," like, they have a mutual thing and like, "Hey, best for both of us to split ways," like, I'd be, "Alright, fine. Jordan Love time to shine, baby." Yeah, and move on. I wouldn't have no hate for him and be all mad about it. But, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think, like, with the cap situation and, like, I don't know a lot about the cap situation. I know there's a situation there. Um, Plus, like, how much do people wanna give the Packers? Because, like, what if Rodgers plays 1 year and retires, and you gave up 2 first-round picks for a dude that played a year, didn't work out, maybe you got to the wild card game, whatever, I don't know. And then, like, was that worth it? So I think and then the Packers were like, "Well, if you're not gonna give us this much, we don't wanna trade him." And, it's a whole thing because if they did trade or if they don't trade Rodgers, then what happened with Jordan Love? And this is like a whole, little bit of a web they got to weave here.
Yeah, and that's why I wouldn't be surprised if they moved on from him. Maybe you do one and a conditional one that he plays the second year. Um, I I would be I don't know. I almost feel like maybe one more in Green Bay, but I think that'd be it, and you'd be banking off of Love's fifth year option. But you're gonna need a quarterback sooner, regardless. Um, because Rodgers isn't getting any younger, and he's already expressed that he has no interest to play until he's 45, like Tom Brady. So you have a guy that you've been developing under a Hall of Fame quarterback for 3 years, who's looked pretty poised in the opportunities he's gotten in this past season. I mean, whether or not you're ready for it, you're going to need a quarterback. And sometimes the Packers have done this time and time again. You get rid of a guy, even if it's a year too early, rather than getting rid of them too late.
Yeah, and that's kinda like what the Packers have, like, done, like, they'd rather get rid of you too early, too late, you know?
Yeah, so
Not
it
like
wouldn't surprise me if they got rid of Rodgers. You bite the bullet, you have a really tough 2023 season with a cap kind of recovery, and then 2024 you gear up with Love's 5th-year option. Maybe you sign him to a relatively modest extension like the Packers did in 2008 before Rodgers even took a snap under center. They signed him to a 6-year contract before he was even a
yeah.
starter. Maybe they do something similar with Love to hedge their bet, make it so it's not an unreasonable contract, but they also retain his rights in case he is a great quarterback going forward.
Yeah, and I would have to think that, like, they know what he is, like, obviously, and I think that they think he's ready. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
I believe that, and so, like, yeah, I don't know, like, if they do it. Yeah, it is definitely a situation. Like, I feel like this Packers offseason is, like, the craziest one, even though, like, the past ones have been kinda wild. But, like, this one, 'cause you really don't know, 'cause, like, if you talk about, like, the long term for the Packers, maybe it is better that they trade him. I just don't think that they're gonna. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is gonna retire a Packer, and, like, I'm not gonna be mad, like, if he doesn't, like, if they decide to. It is what it is, but this offseason is gonna be wild.
Yeah, I think in my gut, I feel like he's not going to retire a Packer. That's just my gut. I think oftentimes players want to play longer than the teams want them to be on the team, just because you don't want to be in that situation where every year it's like, are they going to retire? Are they going to retire? Are they going to retire?
Yeah.
Just like we were with
But,
Favre.
like,
Eventually, you're just like, dude, I gotta run a business here, and that's what the NFL is.
But a lot of that is even with Favre, like, at first, was all about, like, the media because they were asking the questions. Like, I mean, at the end, Favre did what he did. But, like, at first, I remember arguing that just people like, "No, he's just answering questions," like, after the season, but then it got to, like, a weird situation. But I feel like Rodgers, yeah, he goes on Pat McAfee, does all the things, but I feel like he's never said, "I don't know if I'm coming back," until, like, they ask him, he's not out there like, "I might retire, you never
Yeah,
know."
his situation's much different than Favre's in that way. Um, I just
But
think of it.
I think it's all old quarterbacks. I bet if you go back to, like, Dan Marino and, like, a lot of these guys who played a lot of years, like, at the end of their career, I think that they're always asking, "Are you gonna retire? Is this it?" When they get to that point where it's reasonable that somebody would
Yeah.
retire. I don't
I
know.
mean, I think from a business perspective, like if you're running a business and your business is to put a good product on the field, and I understand like Rogers is an incredible, even at 40 years old, he's going to be an incredible quarterback, and there's no doubt about that. But longevity wise, hypothetically, if you get rid of Love, a guy that you've been waiting to be ready, now you're starting to gamble on young quarterbacks to be the leader, and we've seen time and time again that doesn't always translate, and you can find yourself stuck looking for a quarterback year in and year out like you're the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I said when Favre situation is going on. I was like, "They can't lose Rodgers." Like, if they think he's that dude, they can't go back to Favre. But that situation was a little different because he retired. And they're like, "Hey, you're the guy." Then he was like, "No, I don't want to retire." And they're like, "Well, he already told me he's the guy." So, like, you can't lose him. So if they think Jordan Love is that dude, then they gotta do what they gotta do to not lose him. Like, if they fully believe that, like, in their bones, like, they need to go like meditate on it or whatever. But if they fully believe that Jordan Love is that dude, then they gotta do what they gotta do. But I
Hmm.
don't know. In my gut, I just don't. I feel like Rodgers, like, cares about his legacy. I feel like he doesn't wanna. I think he wants to retire a Packer. But then watching, McAfee interview, kinda feel like maybe he'd veer away from that a little bit. But
I
I
think,
think.
I think he wants to win, right? He wants to at least win another
Oh,
championship,
yeah. I'm sure
and
he'd love it.
I don't know if Green Bay is like with our cap situation, some pieces we're probably going to be losing. Obviously, drafts can really switch things pretty quick, but without knowing what we draft, like it's really hard to know if like is this team going to take that big of a jump next year that with Aaron Rodgers we're immediately like top of the NFC and can take on the AFC right now. I don't know the answer to that. That's another thing. Does he want to be in an AFC that's really tough? The AFC is really tough right now anyway. I don't know if that's a better spot for him either.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna say before and I forgot. The thing about him going to the Jets, look at that, like, what he's gotta deal with. Like, just in the AFC and in that even in that division, like, the Jets would be a tough, and then I know that when players go to another teams, they're not looking like, oh, like it's gonna be hard. Like they're looking like you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. I don't think that they're like really scared like that, but still, if it was me, like I'm not sure. I might just stick around the NFC North.
Well, I mean, and then people are talking about going to the Raiders. The Raiders
Yeah,
division, you're playing Mahomes, you're playing Broncos, which they had a terrible year. And then what is it, Chargers as well in their division? I mean,
yeah,
that's a tough division. Um, I don't know. I don't know the answer. Lions are looking better in our division.
yeah. The NFC North.
Minnesota's always competitive. Bears have $100 million in cap space and the number one overall pick. I mean, they really could trade back, get a boatload of picks, and they could be competitive next year. I mean, the NFC North could be a really difficult, um, you know, division to really win next year with all of that.
Oh yeah, I definitely think the NFC North is gonna be wild. Like I don't like to give other teams credit in our division, but like
That's why I'll do it for you, Matt.
yeah, but like the
I know you don't
NFC
like to.
North, I don't think the Bears are gonna do anything next year, but I think that they're in a situation where they can change their franchise like history, like they can because they've been down for a minute. They can really do it, but like if they can, like people win the lottery and go broke and they're like drug addicts in 3 years. So like just because like you have a situation that should set you up doesn't mean you always get it right.
Yeah,
So like I'm
that's very
here's
true.
hoping the Bears, the Vikings rub off them a little bit. I feel like the Vikings have been in that situation a lot of times. And I mean, now they got a little something going, but it's nothing special. That was just like that window opened like such a crack. Like if you were sneaking out of your mom's house and you had to like wiggle through that window, as soon as your feet clear it, the window slams shut. That's how that window for Vikings was. No, but they're gonna be like competitive. Like this is gonna be a competitive division. I think the Lions are like gonna be in that number one situation spot. Like whether they're gonna be number one, like they're gonna be one of the teams battling and dude, like the
But
way
yeah,
this season ended for the Lions, I feel like they're like we are that dude. So I think that
yeah.
they're gonna be hungry next season. They want to prove some stuff.
Which I mean, good for them. Like we've seen them bad for so long that like I kind of think it's fun to have that rivalry with them. I know in 2014 they were really good and we battled it out for that spot, that bye week spot, the 2 seed, which we ultimately ended up winning. But it was fun to have a rivalry there. So I'm excited to see what happens regardless of who's under center. I'll be there cheering it on.
Yeah. No, no, yeah. The thing is, like with the Lions, I'll be honest with you. I was watching the Lions. I don't know if it was a week before the Packers game or what it was, who they were playing. But like I didn't mean to, but I cheered for them. Like they did something
Yeah.
good, and I cheered because like for a long time, like the Lions have been a puncher bag. Kind of feel I respect Lion fans that have been in it for like this whole time. I was talking to Steve Tate earlier on a podcast, and I'm putting out Monday. You should check that out. But he was talking about like Lion fans that he knew, and he's like they've just been Lion fans since like forever. Never
Yeah.
won anything. No reason to even be a fanatic. And but they're all there, so I respect him. But like, I didn't like that last game though. So
But, I
like,
mean, they have Jamal. How do you not love Jamal? Their
yeah,
their head coach is very likable. I mean,
I like him. I watch Hard Knocks. I liked him. I don't really like that. It kind of looks like they're going on the up, but
anything can happen though. I mean, you see that year in and year out where a
oh
team
yeah,
has hard momentum in one season and then loses it all the next season. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the NFC North is a complete shakeup next year with all the stuff that so much can happen in an offseason. Injuries can happen. There's just so much that could happen to really
yeah,
shake up the NFL.
dude, for real. Because I didn't expect the Vikings to do anything this year, and they didn't really. But like, they had a fun year.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
had the
expect
ball
them to do
bounce their
that.
way a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
they're very similar to the 2019 Packers where every game was way too close. Unless you lost, then you just got blown out. It was like
yeah.
there's no in between. You either won by like 6 or you lost by like 25, and there's no in between.
that,
Um,
that
that's my sister, her boyfriend is a Vikings fan, and at Christmas, I was like, man, they're winning games, but they're not going to win in the postseason like this, just because. I said I've seen this before. I lived it in 2019 with the
yeah.
Packers, and I was like, they're just not going to. They're not going to make it far in the playoffs. Just with your when you're what is it? Is it DVOA? I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's basically like your record and how many points you're scoring versus how many points you're giving it up. And they had a negative one, but they were 12
Yeah.
and 13 and 4. That's not a good sign when you're having negative there, but you're winning games. It
Yeah.
just
Yeah. It's so weird, like how they did that. All right, I want to get to some comments here because I got some people talking. All right, we got one here. It says, tell Ben the reason we weren't as good this year is because he didn't do his weekly Madden video.
yeah. Mark was like the only person who watched those. That's fine.
All right, Ben. Here's a question from Mark. This is from earlier. I saved it. It said, if you would wager who can make a game-winning field goal on Madden, who's making you?
Oh, see the difference. I mean, if
I didn't even know that this question isn't what I thought it was either.
yeah,
Who's
he's just
making
trying
you?
to he's trying to trash talk me because when I do Madden previews, I'd be reading questions as I was doing field goal kicks, so I'd miss a lot of them. But I didn't ever need them to win, so I don't need to be clutch on my kicks while I'm reading because I just win.
Yeah, it's not that close anyway.
Yeah, no,
So
no,
why are we even talking about kicks? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Ben only gets tutties.
yeah. Tutty's out.
So you ever gonna bring back the old Madden situation you had over there again?
Probably not. I don't know. Never say never. I don't know. I don't know what direction my life's gonna take me in, but I've been focused on some other stuff just from a personal standpoint for my career. I made a career change almost a year ago now, so I've been kind of focused on that, which has been a lot of fun. But it doesn't leave me a lot of time for doing a lot of that extra stuff. But never say never. Maybe
You know what I
by
mean?
the time this year comes around, I'll change my mind on it.
Yeah. See that's what comes in handy about just being a factory worker.
Yeah,
When
man.
you're 8, you're straight.
Dude, yeah, I worked factory for a while and I really enjoyed a lot of aspects to it. Um, but now that I work like mostly remote, I enjoy that aspect a lot as well.
Yeah, I don't enjoy much of what I got going on over there. That's a whole other thing. But what I want to talk, I want to switch gears a little bit.
Let's do it.
I put out a post the other day about Quay Walker, right?
Hmm.
And it got a lot of. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to Quay Walker because he followed me on Instagram, and
Hollywood.
I was surprised by that. But like as soon as that situation happened when he pushed that trainer, like I defended him right away because I knew that he was just gonna get hammered on social media for this thing. Not like he did. I didn't think it would be like that, but like obviously like the what he did can't happen. Like you can't do it. Like it's unacceptable and absolutely gonna happen. And he did it twice, I guess. I don't even remember the first one. Like, was it actually a trainer too?
The first one I think was Bill's sideline. It was I think it was a practice squad player, but maybe it was like a coach or a
Yeah, I
trainer.
think I kind of remember. I just don't remember the details of it.
Yeah,
But
I mean, he went over to the sideline. He was on their sideline. There's people all around him, and he kind of like pushed the guy. And it was a
yeah,
guy in street clothes. But I
yeah.
don't even
Now
know
I
if it was
know.
a practice squad or what it
But yeah, it
was.
was a
But
person on their sideline. But yeah,
yeah,
you absolutely cannot do that. You can't put your hands on anyone, especially if they're not wearing a football uniform. But I also don't think he should be crucified. I don't feel like it should be a career ender. People are talking about like they need to cut him and this and that. Like you're not going to cut a rookie who led the team in tackles. Like yeah, they got to coach him up. First of all, they need to have, and I ain't trying to talk trash about people on the Packers defense, but they need to have some leadership. They need to have someone that's holding these rookies accountable, trying to steer them in the right way. Be like, hey, after the first time, that get in his ear, be like, yo, like that cannot happen. Like you cannot do
mhm.
that. You cannot cost a team like that. But like I'm definitely not gonna quit at him. And I don't. It's just weird how people just want to quit a guy. Like he didn't. Like there's players that like hit their wives, and
Yeah,
I feel like got less hate than
yeah.
Way Walker. It's like, yeah, he did. It was wrong. Can't happen. But like I think he's a good player. They just need to you know
Well,
hold
and
his energy a
I
little
think
bit.
if not for the Hamlin thing, I think I
Oh
don't
yeah, that
know if
was
the
big too.
reaction would have been the same from like the fans. And like you said, obviously you can't be pushing trainers. I think a lot of people maybe don't know that the player that was down was a friend of his from college. They played together at Georgia. I think he, in the back of his mind, probably, and I'm not trying to speak for him, but just my thought on the situation, if I were in his shoes, I would probably be wanting to make sure that the guy's okay. And then you're pulled out of the way and then you're frustrated about it too. Cause you're emotional. You're at, the height, right? You're like adrenaline's going, everything's going, and you make a stupid decision and people are just like really on him about it. Yes, it's something he needs to learn from and grow from. And I think he will, but man, people are ruthless. Like even on stuff I posted, someone's like, oh, he clearly has signs of PTSD and he needs to get treatment for it. And you're like, don't diagnose this guy for something you have no idea what he's going through. Like he made a boneheaded decision and clearly he knew it going back to the tunnel.
Yeah.
He felt horrible. You could see that. I don't know. I mean, he definitely doesn't need to be in prison or suspended for a whole year.
Yeah, that's the thing I said is that whatever punishment the NFL did or the Packers did, whatever. All right, cool. Like you did wrong. When you do wrong, there's consequences. But and he talked to the guy. He apologized. Like they had no one talks about that. But I just don't think you don't just throw a rookie in the gutter because he made a bad decision. And it probably is something to do with him. And I don't want to bring that into it because I don't want whatever take the seriousness away from that. But the fact that trainer saved a life, and then this dude just pushed the trainer like, yo, these people need to be respected, which I totally agree with. First of all, no one without a football uniform should be touched by a football player. You just can't do it. Yeah, they're not. You need to control your emotions. But yeah, I'm not going to crucify him. And I think that people need to I wouldn't say let it slide, but let's see what year 2, let this kid grow, let him get coached up, let him. I'm sure he's gonna he didn't like it. So I'm sure this offseason he's gonna be like, all right, I need to, fix that. I need to zone that in a little bit. And I think he will.
Yeah, and I think like you said, I mean the leadership side of things, right? You gotta have a player that kind of I don't know. I think it'll get taken care of. And if it doesn't, if it continues to happen,
oh yeah,
then the Packers would move on from him. But I think at this point it's a little too premature to be like, oh, he's a risk to everyone around him, and he's this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be saying the same thing regardless of what uniform he wore too. I think people are just quick to just really go off the walls on things that I don't know. Being on social media, especially as my page gets more and more reach, I've realized how quick people overreact to one little thing, and then in a week it's gone. You'll get a post that will blow up on, controversial comments, and you can't even keep up with anything. And then literally in 4 days, no one talks about it.
Dude,
go ahead.
You want to hear something funny? You're talking about that. I made a post on Instagram, right? It was a Twitter screenshot, right? I gotta find it. It's down here a little bit. All right, it's a Twitter screenshot. It said someone tweeted out, David Bakhtiari did not allow a sack all season. One of only 2 starting offensive tackles to do so. He has been at fault for 3 sacks since November 2018. So I just threw it on there. I knew it would kind of trigger some.
I already know what the comments are going to be.
Yeah, so I knew what it was going to be because he's been injured, and everyone thinks he's been injured way longer than he actually has been. So this post has 327 comments on Instagram of people just telling me I'm an idiot. He's been hurt since 2019. He hasn't played any games, which I get it. I was kind of trolling. I don't know if he was trolling that tweet, but I was a little bit. I didn't expect it to do so good.
He got hurt in 2020.
He missed 1 full season.
Yeah, he missed 1 full season. And then the appendix, which everyone acts like it's the same injury. And it's, I had my appendix out the same way he did. And I think it took me 6+ weeks to even be remotely recovered.
So if I had to get my appendix out, I could get off work for 6 weeks?
No, they wouldn't do it. Usually they won't do it the way that him and I had it done.
Oh,
usually
you guys are both premier athletes?
Yeah, I mean, we're both at the peak. I was in 7th grade at the time, and we're both at the peak of our lives at that point. It's been all downhill for me since. But no, for my case, I don't think they did orthoscopic removals then, where he his was leaking, so they just had to go in. They didn't have time. They had to,
Yeah.
instead of making a very small incision, they had to make a very large incision, which all of your core muscle is right there. So they're cutting through your core, which it's a very painful
It'd be a lot
experience.
easier if it was me then.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
not a lot of muscle there. They just like,
It,
whoop.
it I was a much fatter teenager. I'm still fat, but I was fatter then, and it was still very painful. So it would be very
Yeah.
painful regardless.
Yeah, but no, but like I was just kind of trolling there. But like whatever. I don't want to get in the whole David Bakhtiari argument. Like people like start hammering the chat because I really don't care.
But
Um
yeah, but to your point, people are going to be like commenting like crazy on that for 4 or 5
yeah,
days,
and
and then
it's
it
been no,
disappears.
it's been so long that's what's funny about it is like I posted this thing. This is like January 10th. I'm still
And
getting comments today.
you're still getting a lot
Yeah.
of comments. Well, you're also Hollywood, man.
19,000 likes on Instagram. My
Yeah,
posts usually don't get that on Instagram.
you're
I have
also
a picture.
Hollywood, man.
No,
That
I
doesn't
post a
surprise
picture
me.
on Instagram. It gets like 61 likes. That thing, because everyone got all mad about it and they want to tell me, oh, he hasn't hardly ever played. I'm like, all right, you're helping the engagement. Keep it rolling, bud.
Yeah.
But so what else we got? What else we got? I had Ryan Schlip from the Packernet Packers podcast on my podcast the other day. We chatted. He said that he doesn't think Adrian Amos is coming back. Cause like I don't know, like I'm not really up to date with like all the numbers of who like, I should probably look into that. But he is one guy that I am not looking forward to if he is not there next year. Who who is the guy that you think that we might lose that you're not feeling? Like Alan Lazard made some comments. People are talking about Aaron Jones. I don't think there's any situation where Aaron Jones isn't a Packer next year. That's just my thing. Especially if the whole Aaron Rodgers, they might need him. You know what I mean?
You definitely need to utilize him. I wouldn't be surprised if Amos is gone from, and I don't know the cap situations and what's
Yeah,
going on, but
no.
I think he would be one that you need to. Um, I don't remember if he's a free agent or if they're going to need to cut him, so I shouldn't even talk on it. But um, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. I mean, Tunyon's probably gone as well,
Yeah, there's a
which
lot of guys who are going to be tough. A lot of guys like, and I'll find out more like the numbers. Tonight I'm just having a few beers talking football, but like I'll have the numbers and I'll figure this thing out. Maybe I'll have some smart people come on even explain it to us. But I think that there's a good chance Tunyon could be. And that like I don't even like saying it. It makes like I almost puked a little bit. I do love me some Robert Tunyon, but
the one that
there's
worries
gonna be
me
some
the
people.
most
Ooh,
about potentially being not being here is Mercedes Lewis,
yeah, I knew you were gonna go with that.
because
Yeah,
I mean he's a potentially a cheaper veteran that you could take, but what he does as far as blocking, I mean,
yeah.
I don't
I
know if
don't
you could find a guy that's better at it in that
and
role.
and and, and like leadership. I think leadership is huge. I
Yeah.
think that the defense this year, like especially with Rashawn Gary, I think he was coming into a leader a little bit. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room, but it seemed like it from the outside, and maybe him going down like hurt the defense. But I feel like the defense, not that they need a Zadarius Smith type of fellow, like he was going to scream and yell. Because I had Kenny Clark on a podcast this offseason. I asked him when Zadarius left, I said, "Who's going to take that spot to be that rah rah guy?" He said, "We don't need a rah rah guy." He's like, we don't, we're all accountable and we all like speak up. Even Preston, when he was on my podcast, I don't mean to name drop. I'm just saying, like, he kind of said the same thing. Like, everybody's held accountable. Everybody's kind of a leader. Everyone's done that. But like, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
No,
I feel like you might not need it, but I don't think it ever hurts. Like, do you
yeah, they
think,
have.
like the Packers probably didn't need Charles Woodson's leadership, but I think it
Yeah.
helped
Yeah, I
more
think it
that they
helped
had it.
huge
Yeah,
because, like,
exactly. But the players probably didn't need it, right? The players are going to go out and perform and do their
oh,
job,
yeah, they're going to do their
but
hardest. But
that leadership keeps you accountable. Like that leadership
yeah,
brings
like,
it up a notch.
that dude, like, when you're young and you mess up, like, the dude you look at, like, you look at Woodson, whoever's behind, like, you look at someone like, man, like, someone who's gonna hold you accountable. Doesn't mean they're gonna go over there and like beat the hell out of you, but like they're that dude that's gonna bark at you and teach you and make you better.
But a lot of times too, if you're beating yourself up, they can do the opposite. Like um, think about Donald Driver with young receivers and coaching them up and helping them along. it's not always like I'm gonna yell at you and be on you. It's, hey
Yeah.
man, don't let it get in your head. I've dropped thousands of balls in my
Yeah.
career, or in my time playing, and like you just come back for the next one. I think that can go a long way for a young player.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like Aaron Jones talked about Aaron Rodgers. He was like in his first time on the field with them, and he was like, "Hey, I'm glad to have you," or whatever. He kind of gave him some. He said something that made him feel good, and like I think that's what kind of leadership is, getting everyone comfortable, like just
Mhm.
getting everyone to do their job, however you got to do it. If you got to yell at them, you want to Tom Brady him on the sidelines, whatever.
I think what you need to do is you need to be on the sideline and you got to be yelling, run or pass. You got to let them know and get the whole
Yeah.
sideline to do run or pass, like
Hey, it
Russell
worked for my
Wilson.
kid's high school when he was playing football. They'd yell, "Run, run!" Then they'd throw it, and like, I don't think you guys,
Yeah, see,
you
that's
know.
where we're going wrong in the NFL. Russell Wilson is really shaping the NFL. You just got to let him know run or pass.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm referencing.
Yeah, like right over my head. I can't listen right. But yeah. So you're what do you got coming up? Like you kind of said like you don't know, but like what's your goals for the Green Bay Guy Facebook page? You have any like this off season? You do anything?
I mean, I'm always like thinking of like trying to, I gotta do, or I need to add more things to my website to help people when they're coming to town. I was just thinking today, like, I should probably do something more focused around cheese curds because I don't have anything really like dedicated to cheese curds, but I think that's a Wisconsin staple, especially if you're coming out from the West Coast. You might not even know what a cheese curd is. And I also need to add more things of like what to do in Green Bay, which means I got to leave the house, which I usually don't like leaving the house.
We should do it together.
Yeah, dude, I'm down for it, but I'm definitely more of a hermit, so I don't always like going out and doing stuff,
Yeah,
but I
I don't
need
either.
to be able to add stuff to the website.
So let me just jump in here. For people who don't know, Ben has a website. Is it thegreenbayguy.com,
Yep.
and he has kind of like a what to do when you're in town. Like he has restaurant reviews. He has all types of stuff on there. So if you're coming to Green Bay, you're a visitor, never been here before. Maybe you have, but maybe only a few times. Hit up the website. He's actually helped me build my website. Well, he's not helped me. He's doing it for me. Not like grab that end.
Yeah, that's why I can't produce new content because
Yeah.
Matt's like, dude, is that website done yet?
I'm
Come
like,
on.
"What's up, bro?"
Yeah.
Every day. I message him every single day.
If anything, it's me the other way around. I'm like sending you screenshots and stuff, like just pestering you. I'm like, what do you think about this? How's this look? What about
Dude,
this?
I am really excited about the website. I think it looks great. Like I can't do that stuff. Like, I don't even understand what code is. Can you just put in like random numbers somewhere and then it'll just make a website on accident?
I mean, not really.
Oh, they're just
There's
like random numbers, right? Like at least that's how it looks like, on a screen. I don't
Yeah,
know
I mean
how you know.
it's I mean
You probably ain't gonna be like
hypertext
this
it's
big, bro.
text markup language, HTML, CSS, which is styling, JavaScript, which is the functionality.
Talking
That's what I
Japanese,
do.
bro.
That's what I do for my career now. So I should at least somewhat have an
Yeah.
idea of what I'm doing. But
I bet you're good at your job because you're doing a dandy of a job.
I hope my boss is watching this.
I don't know. I'm giving you a
He's
review.
not. Yeah, he's not. But
Not. I wonder if my bosses watch my stuff.
I don't
I
know.
wonder.
If so, I think you'd have more conversations with HR.
Yeah, I think so. I know one of my bosses does. Her husband does for sure. But I wanted let everyone know too on Monday morning I will be releasing a podcast. Steve the owner Tate had him on this afternoon. He had great stories. That was like over an hour. I usually don't go that long. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I don't know if he was trying to get out of it, but like, well then, no, but he was awesome. He has great stories. He's awesome. So check that out on Monday for sure.
I now that you say that, like I think when I had
Yeah, you had him on your podcast.
when I
too.
had him on my podcast, I think it went really long as well. He has so much to talk about.
Yeah, I mean he's kind of chatty too.
I'm checking now. Yeah, mine was an hour and 20 minutes with him.
Ooh, hour. I didn't go that long. Once I get past an hour, I try to wrap it up because I figure they're done talking to me and I'm just rambling.
Steve's great, man. So many
He is.
cool
He
stories.
has so
Such a
many cool
nice
stories
guy.
because he's not only like part of Packer fans, and like if you see him at Lambeau Field, like everyone's just trying to get a picture of him. But he's also hanging out with like the other fans. Like he was saying, like he goes to Soldier Field, he goes to the Vikings, he went to like a lot of the stadiums. And they just love him. I can't do that. I go to the Viking Stadium. I'm catching a beat down, bro. I'm leaving that thing. I'm leaving that game leaking, bro.
Dude, Viking fans hate you.
Yeah,
I mean,
they do.
I think Vikings and Bears fans both hate you pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would survive Soldier Field. You ever see that video of that dude rolling down the aisles?
That'd be
I never shared it because like I ain't trying to like add to like whatever that was. But I feel like that could be me. And I feel
Yeah.
I would roll just as much. They'd record me and they would beat me up and they would love it. And, because I used to be like, yeah, I'm not much of a fighter, but I can run, right? Back in the day, I could run like the wind. And now I can't. So now I just like, you better talk yourself out of it. You're getting beat down today. You know what I mean? Can't fight, can't run. What are you gonna do?
Dude, I think the only Vikings fan that likes you is my brother. I think that's
Yeah.
it. If you were with
Yeah.
him, he'd maybe try to stick up for you, but other than that, I think you're done.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like if he was on my side, I wouldn't lose. I feel like he can handle himself.
He can't fight either.
I
Neither
feel
me
like-
or him can
Well,
fight.
at least he can get in the way so I get away. You know what I mean?
That's true.
He's
We can
standing in the
both-
way, I can run.
We can both BS a little bit. He might BS
Yeah.
your way out of that situation.
Yeah, I mean, because that's all you gotta do. Just start talking. If you're about, that's a good tip for people. If you're ever about to get a beat down and like you can't win, just start talking. Don't say nothing stupid though. Like just
I was
start.
gonna say that can make the situation.
Yeah,
a
like
lot
don't be
worse.
like, all right, I understand you're ugly and you're a freakishly ugly dude, and you're probably gonna stomp me. No, you don't want to start like that. Just start talking, finesse them a little bit, make them laugh, and then maybe they forget.
But you gotta do like self-deprecating stuff, right? You gotta be like, dude, why are you gonna beat me up when you're so like I look like a keg and you're like chiseled? Like you
don't want that on your
you just-
resume, dude.
Yeah, you just start like making fun of yourself, and then they feel bad enough for you that they
Yeah,
just
that's what it is. Like that's what I do. I start getting a fight. I just cross my eyes like, hey man, who's out there? Who is out there right now? You go, where's my glasses?
Yeah,
They're
you
like,
can get away
he
with
looks,
it.
and they're like, I can't hit a guy who can't.
No, you
He's
can't.
looking everywhere but at me.
I
All
think
right.
that's a good strategy.
I think it is. I think it worked. I think I'm gonna start doing that more outdoor. Just walk up to random people, like walk into a gas station, just paying for your stuff, and just cross your eyes, and just be like, I can't see them when I do that, so I can't see the reaction off. Because like that would freak people out. Like, what is happening? They wouldn't know where to go.
I think you could I think you've really I do think that it's really good how you've leaned into that and helped yourself with like I think there's probably a lot of people who are very self-conscious about their eyes, and you've probably
Yeah.
helped them out a lot. So kudos to you, man. I
Well,
like
I was
how
just-
you have fun with it.
I was actually talking to Steve about that on the podcast because we were talking about. I was like with the eye thing, like I get messages. People are like, "Hey, I love what you're doing. I have a weird eye, and I feel this type of way about it." And you just make it like, "Who cares?" So maybe I won't care. I'm like, yeah, like who cares? Plus, if it's funny, it's funny. I don't care what it is. I mean, I'm not gonna like play with spiders to be funny. I have limits or like do some crazy stuff, but like I ain't afraid of like making myself look stupid. Like I've had people like, you embarrassed yourself. Like, yeah, I know, bro.
Well,
Not really,
ultimately-
because I don't care.
Yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. But
As long
like,
as you're not doing anything, like I feel like embarrassing yourself by having fun is fine. If you're being like a huge tool to people,
oh yeah. I don't.
and like like you're seeing that a lot now, where like people
Yeah.
have like the main character syndrome, where they're recording themselves and like, when we went to Italy, we dealt with that a lot with a lot of like social media influencers, and it just drove me nuts. About like one lady was like mad. We're at the Coliseum, and one lady was mad that people were standing in her vicinity as she was trying to get like Instagram photos. And you're like, we're at the Coliseum. There's thousands of people here.
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to be standing in the general area view. But I think as long as you're having fun and being goofy, it's fine. But if you're being a dunce like that,
Oh
it's
yeah. Like dude, I totally agree. People who like mess people at their jobs over at
yeah.
Walmart jumping into balls, like someone that's like,
No,
yeah,
thank you.
I'm not with that. Anyways, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Everyone, if you haven't checked out the Green Bay Narrative, Ben's podcast, he doesn't do it anymore, but he has some great episodes up there. I'm one of them, and like that was before I was as good
Dude,
as I am now.
that was a long time ago. I don't even think when we recorded it, I don't even know if you did like photos of yourself on your page.
No, I think I was just like the beginning of like when I was switching, like I'm gonna do this thing, and then you're like, you should do a podcast, and then I was like, okay, and I just did it, and like it was all
Look
right.
at you now.
The first little bit of that podcast, I was talking about this when I had Crabtree on, but it was trash. Like I didn't know what I was doing.
You were super nervous to start.
Yeah, and I still get nervous, but like I'm better at like I've done a few, but like but then I started
200,
over again.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and this is 200, and that doesn't count that first little
Yeah,
trial
that's
trial
a
and error
lot of
thing.
episodes, man.
Yeah. Oh, it is. A lot of words were said.
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
it's a grind, man. Like to even with not editing them and doing them live, it's like you're still putting away an hour of your time to do something and trying to think of topics to talk about and trying to keep it light enough that people enjoy and finding good guests. And it's really it's a job, man. And that's
Yeah, it's a situation, but it's fun. I like talking. I get to talk to people like you. Talk to Steve, you know, who like I was telling him, like I remember seeing him on TV before I ever put any piece of Packers content on the internet.
yeah.
Like he was a legend. So like I remember the first time I saw him and I was like, oh, it's Steve. I gotta say what's up. And then he recognized me. I was like, oh shit. You know, I was like, I was coming up to say what's up.
Hollywood,
Like,
Hollywood.
yeah. And yeah, Steve's the man, like all the stuff, all the tailgating I get to do, all like the cool people I get to meet, like all the, you know, it's all cool. It's all cool. All right, here we go.
You're
Hey,
Hollywood, man.
shut up. Hey, I appreciate y'all listening. I appreciate y'all watching. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. I saw someone ask you earlier where you can listen. Search the Matt Ramage Show on wherever you listen to podcasts, and you'll find it. Soon I'll have a website,
Yeah.
and then you
soon.
can go to the website, and right there you can get it. But go to all my social medias. I have a link tree up there, and you can find the podcast wherever you listen. But I really appreciate y'all watching. It'd be cool if you listen when you're not watching. You know, you don't have to do both. You know, one or the other would be fine. I'm gonna
I
ask
say
too
you do
much of you.
both. I say you
Yeah.
do both, man. You need those metrics.
We need those metrics. Look at this. We're gonna end this thing. We're gonna put some music on this thing.
Ooh.
My God,
Music on, by the way.
it seems like it's porn
Oh,
music.
there
Anyways,
you go. There you go.
we're out of here. Go Pack, go people. Thanks for watching.